What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Champion Living Podcast, the only podcast crossing the lines between the sport of rodeo and fitness. Today's episode, we're jumping into how to balance a busy lifestyle with your fitness. What you can do to prioritize those fitness goals, even being busy with work, busy with life, rodeo, whatever it is. We're going to talk about some helpful tips here. We're jumping in right now. Beastmaster Rodeo has been with us since the beginning. Whether you are just getting into rodeo or a longtime athlete, Beastmaster Rodeo Gear has what you need. Here's the deal. Lots of rodeo gear companies are coming out, but not all are equal. Beastmaster is really setting the bar when it comes to the equipment that is built for durability and designed for success in the arena. You guys can check them out at beastmasterrodeo.com. Use our discount code ChampionLiving24. That's ChampionLiving24. Going to save you a little bit at checkout. Man, what a good intro.
What a good intro.
Woo!
You know, I was thinking the other day, like, you remember back in the day in the early episodes, probably like every episode from like 75 and below, like where we would have to pause and tell Elizabeth, the editor, to like, hey, we messed up, edit this part out. Like we haven't had to do that in forever. And
no. Even when I mess up now, I'm like, I don't care. Let's keep going.
We just roll with it.
What you see is what you get.
No, it is cool, like just the evolution that we've.
It is. I actually went back
this.
to listen to one of our first episodes a couple weeks ago.
Did it make you puke?
7 minutes in, I had to turn it off.
Yeah,
I can't do that. Wow, we have gotten better at this. It's nice.
From now on, when I start recommending the podcast, I'm going to say like, start at like
start listening like 50.
Yeah, 50, maybe even 100.
Yeah, let's do that. 100's number one.
And we'll look back 2 years from now, and we'll look at this episode and be like, damn, we were even bad then. So
yeah. Oh, it's good shit.
Oh, it's funny.
So just in like current events news, PBR just had their expansion draft, which is pretty dang neat if you ask me. They just added 2 new teams. Wait, 2 or 3?
2. Yeah.
2 teams.
The New York Mavericks and the Oklahoma Wildcatters.
But what about Florida? Didn't have a team, did they, originally? Like there was no Florida.
No.
But that is new. Even though it's not a new team, it is a new
franchise. Yes, it's the same franchise in a new location. So same owners, same core guys that were on the team. It's all the same. They have a new head coach,
just in a different location. So technically, it's not new.
It's not a new franchise. It's like the Rams moving from St. Louis to Vegas or whatever. Yeah, or LA. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Copy that. So Paulo Krember's the head coach of the New Freedom. Is it Brooklyn or New York?
It's called the New York, but they're out of Brooklyn. Yeah, Brooklyn's their home.
Cody Lostro, new head coach of that team, we're big fans, obviously, of Lostro, and that's really exciting. And then obviously
the jerseys are pretty dope too. They unveiled last night.
Cool. They were really cool. I was digging them. And then JB has got the Wildcatters. Is that their?
The Wildcatters.
Wildcatters. Yep.
Owned by golf pro Taylor Gooch,
which is sick. I think that is the coolest thing, dude. Getting other
sports
elite
guys,
athletes, people that are huge in other sports, crossing over and seeing that interest in what we do and what rodeo is about, and bull riding, and this whole team thing that is starting. And it's not even just PBR teams. What about Kid Rock and Roll Rodeo? That's about to kick off May 17th, the week that Friday before the PBR World Finals in Fort Worth. I am heavily thinking about going down there to see that. I want to see what that is going to look like and what's going to happen. But that's the evolution, man. It's happening. It's huge. So I know you and Tyler watched the draft, expansion draft. I didn't. I watched the highlights on social media. So fill us in on what happened, what the format was, why that was important, why it's exciting.
Yeah, so I think they let the 2 new teams pick first, and they were able to pick off of the existing roster. So there's no new riders introduced to this draft. These were already guys that were on teams. but they were not on the protected roster of the other teams. And so I was wondering how they were going to pull it off, and it went pretty well. So the two new teams alternated, like snake draft form. So like you get like first and third and fourth pick, and the other team would get second and fifth and sixth pick or whatever. And so they were able to choose a rider from an existing team. But once you chose a rider from a team, the rest of that team's riders were then off limits. So like a current team could only lose one rider.
Gotcha.
Yes. And so they went through, I believe it was all 8 teams. So each of the new teams got 4 riders off the bat, and then they opened it back up for the other teams to kind of like move things around.
What they did is they all got their all the new teams went through the whole draft. They went through their whole, like, so they both got 6 new members. I believe it's 6. They had like 12 total picks, and then at the end it was whatever teams had, like, if they lost a player, then they got to go in and pick somebody else, and so they could pick out of like free agents at that point.
Gotcha.
Is what they did. And so like one of the highlights was obviously the Wildcatters starting it off, picking Ka'iki Pacheco, and then they traded him.
That was a trade, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that had to be premeditated. I'm thinking. Yeah, I'm thinking that deal was made before the pick was ever in. Yeah.
But exciting.
Really cool. And then
it's still cool.
Yeah. And then the New York Mavericks, man, they picked up a lot of free agents. That guys that, we don't necessarily know or we haven't seen before. And that was one thing that I know Cody Lostro was pretty excited about. He's like, you may not know these guys now, but you're about to. And so that's really cool to like see new guys coming in that, maybe we haven't seen, or we haven't, to see the talent that's coming in. It's going to be really cool.
Dude, that's awesome. And I'm pretty sure how it worked was the original teams that were there, they got to save 3 athletes from their 7.
Correct.
And then everyone after that, you're a free agent. So these guys can all get drafted to different teams, the ones that were not saved. So it'll be interesting to see what happens come full draft day when they wrap up.
And that brings up the kind of the last point, the final, thing of the draft was it was like a lottery, like they drew picks for who picks first, and Florida Freedom head coach Paulo Crimber.
I thought a girl screamed when they got the ball.
Probably.
No, it was Paulo, but I thought it was a girl.
Was it Paulo?
Yeah. I had to watch it a couple times, and I was like, what was that? Funny. And I watched it, I was like, oh my God, he's just pumped up and screaming, but
because he got first pick, and obviously the number one,
he literally said
number 1 pick was John Crimber, and now of course it is definitely going to be John Crimber going to his dad's team. So interesting.
So my oh man, that is interesting though, because having your kid on a team, any team, is a hard deal, because not only the relationship between son and dad, which I'm sure they're like best buds, but there's 6 other guys now.
Yep.
On that team. This isn't an individualized sport. This is a team sport. And so favoritism starts happening or doesn't start happening. Like, what's going to happen to that energy and that dynamic of that team? And is the coach going to be able to control all of the... Dude, there's going to be a lot of weird...
Well, I mean, even outside of that, like you think of like the rest of the members of the front office. So like you've got like your general manager and your owners and stuff that are the ones ultimately dealing out contracts. And, Paulo's going to want to look out for the best interests of his son. And what if they don't put up the money that he thinks his son should get, even though he's the head coach? I mean, not that he has a whole lot of influence over the actual money matters and stuff. And so, I think it would be really interesting to take John, and I think obviously he's going to, but I think he should take John, and I think he should consider trades with that.
Yeah,
like use him as a tool and find the best opportunity for his son to ride under somebody else. Yep. That would be like my strategy. I feel like
we'll get to see what happens. This is all just us guessing on what we could see, what will happen. But it's nonetheless, it'll be an interesting dynamic to see unfold, and whether he gets to stay on the team or he gets used as trades, it's all fair game. So it's those are just two of the possible outcomes of whoever knows how many possibilities there are, what's going to go down, right? And so I'm fired up to see it. I'm really excited to see what happens for the Ridge Riders. We've got training camp coming up in just 10 weeks, 8 weeks. It's coming up quick, and so I'm excited to get them rolling. And a few of those guys have stayed on with me all year, and we've been having some really, really good training sessions. And a lot of these guys have been rodeoing pretty hard, so it'd be a good season for PBR teams. I'm excited, and I think that you guys will be working with the team as well. I'd be excited to see who that is. I've had a lot of interest from multiple teams, so
yep.
We're always looking for a quality protein source. That is why I look to Colorado Craft Beef for my beef needs. I'm no longer going to the store. I am putting in my order, and they are shipping it directly to my house. Some of the things I love about Colorado Craft Beef are the beef is 21 days dry aged. Y'all, it does not happen in a grocery store. The beef looks entirely different than it would if you get it from the store. It tastes entirely different than you would if you get it from the store. And the cost is very, very similar, if not better, just depending on where you are. But bottom line, you can fuel your body with some of the highest quality protein from Colorado Craft Beef. Look, the cattle, they're raised well. They're raised with care, crafted with passion, and, again, packed with protein. It's the perfect choice for athletes like us. So go check them out, coloradocraftbeef.com. You can order your premium cups there, and they also have incredible beef sticks, on-the-go options that you can take with you, packed with protein, and the best source you can get. Again, check them out at coloradocraftbeef.com. Use our discount code ChampionLiving, all one word. Going to save you some money on that next beef order. Y'all, if you're having trouble sleeping or you've got really achy muscles, Power Pro CBD has teamed up with us to bring you their tinctures and their warming lotions. Guys, these have been a crucial part of my nightly routine. The tincture, I take 2 full drops underneath the tongue right before bed, and my HRV and recovery scores have never been higher. And not to mention the warming cream, y'all. I swear by this stuff. It works immediately. 10 plus years of rodeo experience and working out for another 10 plus years pretty intensely. I come across some aches and pains. And so that warming lotion is my go-to to get rid of those and to get rid of it quickly. Y'all can check them out at PowerPro, PWRpro.com. Use our discount code ChampionLiving, all one word, to save you a good chunk at discount. Be cool. That being said, shit's about to get busy. Life is not slowing down. Just the time change alone, I find myself staying up later. I'm outside doing stuff. I look at my watch, and I'm like, oh, smokes, it's 8 o'clock. Like, I'm usually getting ready for bed right now. So things are getting busier. It's going to get harder to balance everything. Nonetheless, just like the basics of life, but your workouts, your nutrition, your sleep, all of those things are going to get a little bit more difficult to balance. And I don't think it's more difficult. It's just going to look different. And so we're going to talk about how you can balance that busy lifestyle with your fitness goals, some things that you can do to help optimize your nutrition when you're busy, and just the training methods, the quick, easy training methods that we implement with ourselves and with our clients when we're limited on time or whatever, equipment, whatever it is. There's always time and room to do something, right? So let's talk about prioritizing workouts with your schedule. Well, first of all, I think that no matter who you are, you got to identify your goal.
In all areas too. Like, you need clarity around, like, outside of your life, in the gym, all that. Yeah,
absolutely. And I love that you said that first off, because it all plays together. You can't just set one goal. I want to lose weight. Okay, well, like, that has to be, everything has to benefit that or has to complement that, right, in your lifestyle. It has to be helping you. So you can't want to lose weight and still, like, work out one time a week, not pay attention to your nutrition,
right,
and it just wouldn't work. So you got to make sure you're doing all the things. But whether you want to lose weight, gain muscle, improve your endurance, whatever it is, you've got to establish that goal and then start thinking about, is the rest of my lifestyle or the things I'm doing complementing that? Are they going to help me get there? What are some other things?
Or is your fitness goal even the priority? like, I'm playing devil's advocate here because, we
Yeah.
are fitness people. Like, we'd like to think that fitness is the main priority, but it's not always. Like, there's going to be seasons of your life where like fitness is going to be like number 2 or number 3 on your list of things that you need to get done. And so, maybe it's a time for maintenance, or maybe it's a time for like going one time a week. Like, maybe you're used to going 4 times a week to the gym, and maybe it is a time to like, hey, I've got, maybe you're buying a house, or you're changing jobs, or you're moving, or something big is about to happen. Maybe it is a time to put fitness on the back burner a little bit, to where you are just focusing on maintaining your current fitness status and not shooting for any new goal.
We don't talk about that enough, man.
We don't.
Not at all. And that's something I do by myself regularly, or periodically. My body will tell me, like, hey, dude, it's time for a rest. It's time to kind of chill for a week and let everything deload, essentially taking a deload week or a rest week or whatever it is. We don't ever talk about doing those. And on the flip side, of not doing enough work, there are those people that don't stop working and that go hard. And we're part of that group for sure. And even in our work life, we're like that. And me and you have been having to, change our schedules recently to get to different places, like towards our goals, because we weren't getting towards our goals the way we used to do things. So same thing as your fitness, you got to continually change it up. And if you're someone that's always going, you have no idea what you're missing with just adding a little rest to that, what you can do to recharge your batteries, reboost, not even like in the gym, business-wise, personally, like your creativity. All of those things enhance when you give yourself a little bit of rest and not thinking about it. And so scheduling those workouts in those days, we call them focus days. On those focus days, I'm not just focusing on a specific thing at work. I'm making sure I'm focusing on like my workout. I'm getting a workout in that day. It's one of my days to focus on getting things done, right? So scheduling those into my calendar is number one. And especially being busy and the way we do things, we time block everything. I just put it in my time block. So there's no ifs, ands, or buts. I've already set out hour and a half of my day to go work out. And that accounts my drive there, drive back. If I'm not driving, I'm working at home, then I get to take a half hour off. It just takes me an hour to work out. But either way, you've got to allocate specific time slots to have there in front of you. Makes it so much easier.
And the way I do that is I have like an evergreen appointment at 10:30 for my workout. And then I'll look at it, maybe the week of, or even a couple days before, and kind of as I'm putting my week together, I can, shift that up or down where it needs to be. But generally, like sometime around 10:30 a.m. is when that's probably going to be most likely that I get my workout in. If I push it off much later than that, it's probably not going to happen. Like, I'm going to get too busy. I'm going to make all the excuses. It's not going to happen. So I need to have that schedule, or I need to have that scheduled in my calendar, just like any other appointment would be. And I've got to stick to it.
Absolutely. And the next thing I'm going to say is, like, everyone gets so hung up on I got to work out for an hour. I don't have enough time. 20 minutes isn't enough time. Dude, it is. You will see huge changes if you consistently hit 20 minutes of intentful movement, intentful exercise. You can't, that's the thing is, like, it's not sexy. It's just a quick go and you're done, right? But everyone just says, nah, I'd rather do 60 tomorrow. And that 60 tomorrow never comes because life keeps happening. You keep getting busy. You're still not writing it in your schedule. But 20 minutes can be half of a lunch break. You can go get quick movement in and still have time to eat your food. Like, it's all about how bad do you want it? How badly do you want to see the changes? And that's a different approach. I'm saying, how bad do you want it? But you're only doing 20 minutes of consistency. It's not go 2 hours and kill yourself each time, right? So find those 20, 30 minutes, get that movement in. If you're someone that is, an advanced athlete, start adding in some HIIT or something like that for 20 minutes once a week, twice a week, something like that would be easy. And you would feel like you got a ton out of it.
Absolutely. Or like, so here's an example of what happened to me yesterday. So my workouts right now are taking me about 55 minutes. So roughly an hour. Yesterday, poor scheduling on my part. Didn't have a full hour to get in, but I had half an hour in between appointments. And so I was like, okay, I got a half an hour. I can do my warm up. And my first lift is deadlifts, heavy deadlifts. So I was like, I'm going to get into it. And wherever I have to stop for this next appointment, that's where we're going to stop. And I finished my deadlift sets, and that's all I had time for. But knowing that deadlifts are one of probably the best full body compound exercises that you can do,
You're getting a
I'm okay
ton
with
of
that.
it. Yep.
Yeah, I'm totally fine with that. Like if I
Bang
had
for
to
the
call it
buck
after
is
deadlifts,
huge.
like yeah, then I'm good. If I would have said like, oh, I don't have a full hour, I'm not going to do anything, I would have never gotten the deadlift sets in at all.
Mhm.
And I would be out that, but at least I got something
Dude,
done.
yeah, that's the way to think about it though, is like, I don't have the time. Is this sexy? No. Is it useful? Hell yeah. What is the most
Mhm.
bang for my buck I can get out of this thing in the gym? That barbell, full body, posterior chain, deadlift for sure. Absolutely. Minimal, I don't have to warm up very much. I can warm up with a light barbell. I can warm up with just the barbell to get going. It doesn't take much. You're rocking and rolling. And you're going to see gains from that, because what you did is you got the work in. You didn't push past like the stimulus that you should have, because the time limit, which means that you're going to be able to recover really well from that. The food, the time you're going to be able to rest and get the amount of time and sleep you need, and your body's going to be ready to roll and see the gains from that. People almost don't believe it when we say shit like that. It's like, we should do a test like that, dude. Like, one movement a day. It's just obviously high volume because you're doing it for 20 minutes or whatever, and do that every day and see what happens over a 6-week period, on your strength. I bet you would see huge gains, especially for people that just don't have the time to put into the recovery and things like that. I made a post the other day. The average human, it's recommended you get 7 to 9 hours of sleep. That's average. The elite athlete, 9 to 10 hours of sleep. Dude, you have to plan to do that. It is almost impossible for people to do that. So those requirements are there to help you recover. If you can't hit those requirements, you've got to adjust your training volume and your intensity to match what you can get done on the recovery side of that. Which is why, these quick workouts, time-efficient workouts where you only have 20, 30 minutes, they may seem useless, but I think they're so underutilized and can be highly efficient when it comes to, we start looking at the balance of life in your lifestyle. A lot of time your recovery and shit doesn't complement your training. Your training is way out of reach compared to what you're putting into the recovery side. So you'll never see the actual gains that you could potentially get, because you're selling yourself short on the recovery. And so that's why I do like these 20 minutes. And like during COVID, dude, that was my jam. I'd get outside in the patio, do 20 minutes, 30 minutes of just 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off. Yesterday, I had everything planned out, but shit happened and I got busy. I literally had 12 minutes in between meetings to do some kind of movement. And I'm going to go jog 30 on, 30 off. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do burpees, because burpees, same thing, full body. I'm actually getting a push-up in there. I'm getting a bending. I'm getting a little squatting, a little jump at the top. I'm getting way more bang for my buck. I just did 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off, and not like sprinting or trying to kill myself. I was trying to end that 7 to 10 range on the reps for 30 seconds. And as I built up and got warmed up, I was trying to get to that 10 and go faster and faster towards the end. But 10 minutes, had a nice sweat going, had a little pump, felt good, done. On to the next thing, and wake up today feeling good. But if I would have, waited to the end of the day, pushed a workout, my sleep would have been messed up. My recovery wouldn't have been as good. Like, it just wouldn't have matched. So sometimes it's good, and we don't even think about that. The busy lifestyle is just adding a stress as well. Like the go. That's hard enough to recover. And a lot of times when we're going like that, we're not at home. We're on the road. We're at hotels. We're at work, whatever. And those are all things that hinder recovery. What about your nutrition on the road, dude? This is like the hardest thing. I think this is the toughest thing that we run into. Not even with the athletes, with myself, is
just in general,
how to eat on the road. And the biggest thing I can say is you got to plan ahead. And if we're going for long stints places, like when we go to Vegas every year, I call the meal prep companies and order ahead of time to have meals delivered to the room. So at least I have a breakfast and a lunch. I know we're going to be solid, and we're going to go eat dinner out, because that's just life in Vegas, right? We're going to be out doing stuff. When we start getting to going on the road, I'm going, hunting or whatever. I've actually been thinking about, last year I did one meal like this when I first day of camp, because I didn't want to carry it in, but I just sealed it, like vacuum sealed the meal, cooked it already, froze it. And then by the time I got there, I just heated it up over, a stove. But there's lots of places with microwaves. Gas stations have microwaves. If you're rodeoing and you're in a horse trailer or a camper, little portable stoves. Pretty much, you look around the rodeo grounds nowadays. Pretty much everyone has a little black top grill that they're using.
Yep.
They're going to do a little grocery shopping. They're carrying a little Yeti cooler with them, whatever it is. And you're welcome, Yeti, for that plug, even though you don't plug us. That's fine. But it requires planning ahead, and batch cooking is one of the best things I can think of. Cooking all your meals at once and having them in to-go containers. So I have a bullfighter who been working with us through some injury. He's just getting back. He's a high-level athlete, but he just wasn't seeing the changes in his body that he wanted to see. He's working out, and then I noticed that his meal logs had been sliding down the hole, like not getting them. And I said, what's the eating been looking like? Well, I really didn't know. And I just told him, this is no bullshit, man. You have to track that. We will not see the changes. If you have those specific goals, you have to track it. So we went down and broke down every meal, what it looks like calorically and macronutrient-wise. Took him to his lists on his nutrition packet. We looked at protein, carbs, and fats, highest quality, lowest quality. We picked out the meals. He's sending me pictures of, he went and bought the little food containers that are sectioned out, proteins and a little container for veggies or whatever, and he has them all lined out, and he has 3 meals made for the entire week, multiple meal, like 20 meals of 3 different kinds of variety, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the first 4 days, he lost 7 pounds. Again, most of that is like water and just the change in diet, but he wasn't paying attention to that. And he was eating on the road. When he was on the road, he was tripping about eating because he knew it was bad, so he wasn't eating hardly anything. And when he did, it was a McDouble. And so it's just, those things aren't complementing. Those are your recovery. They play into the product of what's going to be the outcome after you work out. Like, I've heard it once, you are what you metabolize. So like the quality of food that you're putting in is only going to be what is the outcome of what your aesthetics will be in your body and the amount of that food, right? If we're eating low quality food and high amounts of it, probably not going to look like we want. If we're eating high quality foods and lots of them in complement with our activity levels, we're probably going to look exactly like we want to and perform exactly like we want to.
Yeah, and a lot of times when it gets busy, it's just about like getting in when you can, because there's going to be those inevitables like you were talking about earlier where like it is what it is. And so like something that I'm going to, reach for if I'm on the road a lot of times is like whether it's a gas station or fast food, like a breakfast burrito. Well, I can meal prep breakfast burritos. I can go get those high fiber wellness wraps or whatever they are. Mix up some ground beef, season that however I want, maybe add an egg, maybe add bacon, whatever breakfast type food I want to add in there just so it feels a little more morning appropriate. And then I can shove 8 of those in the refrigerator, and all I have to do is heat them up each morning. And
at home, it's so
simple.
convenient and so easy. Yeah, it's. I get pissed off when I don't prep, literally, because usually it's so easy to open it, and I get kicked myself in the butt. I'm like, why didn't I do that? Like, it's so easy. You have everything.
You go and open the fridge and there's nothing ready, and it's like, I'm an idiot.
Yeah, why?
I could have avoided this.
Yes, and I'm just hangry at myself. That's it. But and then some snacks that I kind of go to. Breakfast burritos are great, but if I'm walking in the gas station, I'm looking for some kind of probably trail mix. They have like freeze-dried fruits, nuts, mixes with seeds and all that you can get. Jerky is also great. Man. And I don't drink these all the time, but I know on the road my protein intake is low. I get a Core Power. I get the 42 grams of protein one. Is it the best? No. Is it my best option for right now? Hell yeah. And it's going to benefit me better than not having anything. So I always throw one of those in there. But I've been more on the cooler side. I mean, I've been packing food from the house. It's just, it's comforting. Like, I know I like it. And that's another thing is a lot of times we go out, I don't even like this food that much. It just doesn't seem appealing to me, and therefore I don't want to eat it. So then, you end up in a hole again. But nutrition's important, as always, and hopefully nothing we haven't said before, but I think it's just reiterate the importance of you got to plan ahead. And sometimes you got to be the weirdo that takes your own food. People worry about what people think about them so much, and like, I don't want to bring a cooler. People think I'm strange. It's like, no.
Well, we were just talking about the other day how I missed dinner the other night or whatever.
Yeah.
Or like we were running short on time, and I didn't think of like fast food as even being an option. I was like, I'm not gonna get fast food. Like, what am I gonna eat? And then I was like, I guess I'm gonna have to get fast food. Like, so like I was like in a panic mode because I forgot that fast food does exist, and
it is a real thing.
it is a real thing. But like, it was so far down on my list of choices that I didn't even like consider it, and ultimately I did end up having to get it. But yeah, failure to prep is preparing to fail.
Yeah, that's an absolute fact. That's an absolute fact. But at the end of the day, you did have a burger because you knew that you needed to eat some food. And a burger one time, Paul, like, it ain't going to kill you. No, not at all. And that's why I'm like, it's all about balance, guys. 80% of the time, 90% of the time would be better. Eat those high quality foods. 10% of the time, you can go ahead and have a cheeseburger. It's going to be okay. Go have some ice cream. Like, it'll be good. But just realize, like, that can't be a habit. That can't be the majority of your food. And if that is like a lot of people, that is a trigger for them. Those types of foods or sweets, like if you know that's a trigger for you, probably avoid that.
Yeah.
Find something else. I know with me, sugar, if I get going on it, I will crush whatever's in front of me. Like bag of Sour Patch Kids, see ya. But something that's really helped me is just fruit. And we're getting into watermelon seasons coming up, dude. I'm fired up. My favorite fruit ever. But like that's my go-to. When I'm craving something sweet, I will go eat watermelon instead. And it's like instant fix for me. So find those little things that you can substitute and maybe don't give you the same exact enjoyment, but you feel a lot better after. And you know that the end results can be a lot more. Dude, let's talk about implementing these efficient training methods. Like when we were talking about 30 on, 30 off, you just doing deadlifting and those two things that we had talked about before. Essentially just embracing this concept of less is more when it comes to targeting these workouts. And like what you said, focusing on these compound movements that focus on or hit multiple muscle groups at the same time. Boom. That is definitely what we're looking for. The deadlift, burpees, they both do that, different goals, but same outcome, right?
Yeah, we're not just like doing bicep curls for a half or the 12 minutes or whatever that, like you said earlier, like you had 12 free minutes. Not going to choose bicep curls as the exercise because we're pretty limited on the positive outcome that we're going to get from that, unless you're going in for like some meeting or something you want to look jacked. But so there is that. but probably going to pick something that you're going to get more bang for your buck, like 30 on 30 off of burpees or some sort of compound lift. But like doing supersets too, so that you're working multiple muscle groups in two different exercises, but you're minimizing the amount of time that you have to rest in between them. So you could do like an upper body work or exercise paired with a lower body exercise, and so you can work continuously, but your upper body is resting while your lower body is working.
Dude, that's like one of my favorite ways to do this. And one of my favorite ways, again, this was during COVID. I would set the clock for 25 minutes, 30 minutes, and I would set my workouts out the same way as I would on a 3-day schedule, upper, lower splits. So on day one would be like some kind of vertical press, vertical pull, squatting motion, right? And so I would do 30 on, 30 off, which means the weight, if I used any, was really light, maybe 10 pounds in my hands. But it would be like goblet squat for 30 seconds, tall kneeling strict press for 30 seconds. So 30 on of goblet squat, rest, tall kneeling strict press, rest. Let's say like a banded lat pull down for 30 seconds, rest. And then I would hit some kind of rotate or like oblique core. So I would do side plank, both sides. Well, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. I think that's 5 or 6 movements. So that's 5 rounds of that. And dude, by the end of it, it's not a lot of weight, but it's so many reps that you're able to get in. And dude, I think that was probably one of the most jacked points of my life, just because the constant hypertrophy / like just volume of it, and not doing it for that long, 20 minutes tops. And I'm not gonna lie, I was drinking a lot of beer back then, so I think the carbs helped. But it was one of my it's still one of my favorite ways to work out because it's so quick, you're done, and you feel like you got a ton out of it. And man, I loved what my body did after that. And I think it just really added up to, even though I was drinking lots of beer, I just wasn't breaking my body down so much that it could never recover, right? I was doing just that right amount that it was matching my lifestyle. And granted, I was still eating really well and we were roping every day. Like we were doing stuff all the time. But it just worked for me. And that's why I was only doing 20, 30 minutes, because we were literally roping like 5 or 6 hours a day. We had nothing else to do.
Yeah.
Right? We were so busy or not busy and just outside doing stuff.
Yeah.
And so it was, it fit everything perfectly. But like people that don't want to go for the gym for 30 minutes or for an hour, like that would be a perfect way that you could get something done, not eat up a lot of your time, and be seeing big results when it comes to your health and fitness or even performance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So like this whole thing we've been talking about, or not this whole point we've been talking about the last few minutes is like, less is more. But like, you got to think of it too. Like less is better than nothing. So
Absolutely.
like less is always going to bring you better results than just ignoring your fitness altogether. So if you're that type of person that you've been putting it off just because you feel like you don't have the time, or you don't have the resources, we just gave you a ton of tools that you can use to just start moving every day in some way, shape, or form. And it doesn't have to be crazy. Doesn't have to be super intense.
Nope.
Like,
push-ups,
start.
squats, lunges, planks, like the basics. Just get it done. Super simple. Guys, if you have any listeners, if you have any questions, any like topics that you want to hear specifically, shoot us a DM. You can either shoot us DMs individually on Instagram at Coach Paul Lloyd for Paul, at champion.living for me. Tyler, you changed yours on me, dang it. It's at Coach Tyler B, is that right?
Yep.
And then we have a podcast page, Champion Living Media, you guys can check out. If you're not following that, definitely follow that. But we're here to help you guys. Anything you guys need, any questions you have, fire away. We will put together an episode for it and let you know when we release it. Guys, if you could just leave us a review too on whatever listening platform you're on, quick 5 stars. That is how you can help us the most when it comes to getting us on the charts. Guys, until next time, we'll catch you later. As you all know, we are always rocking Hui. Hui has the best gear because it's tough, it's durable, it withstands the test of what we put it through, and that is why I am a big supporter of Hui brands. Guys, from hats, apparel, whatever you need, they've got you covered. They are the perfect blend of rodeo style and athletic performance. You can check them out at huibrands.com. Use our discount code ChampionLiving, all one word, is going to save you a little bit at checkout.